This is what fuck around and find out looks like.
MAGA family, I was on TikTok live and a fellow Trump supporter said that all he needed was my vote. I'll never be part of the MAGA family, and that I'm black, I'll never be accepted, but he just got my vote. Nah, that's crazy.
Have you looked in the mirror, dude? You're not MAGA family. You're just family.
They didn't want you in the MAGA family. Well, what they should have told you. Those are the WYT's movement, okay? You're not a WYT.
If you're heartbroken because friends and family have cut you off because of the election and the way you voted, just know your pain and confusion is a direct proportion to the pain and confusion they've experienced over the last 10 years that you chose to ignore.
You know, the worst part about this fuck around and find out is that I have to find out even though I didn't fuck around.
I'm voting for Trump because he's gonna build a border wall and make Mexico pay for it. I'm voting for Trump because he's gonna implement tariffs and make China pay for them.
Guess who paid for the border wall? Not Mexico, the taxpayer did.
And guess who's going to be paying for these tariffs? We, the consumers.
Welcome to the MAGA movement. Once united under the banner of Make America Great Again, is now facing a cascade of infighting and betrayals. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for choosing us today. Happy holidays, by the way. If you're watching this for the first time, kindly consider subscribing, like the video, drop me a comment at the end of this segment. So Trump's biggest supporters have been out there actually screaming, "Make America Great Again." Now they're learning that actions have consequences. Well, among these, a black MAGA supporter who thought he was part of the movement found out real quick that he was never part of the family. Well, he is now falling apart because he cannot handle the betrayal from his supposed MAGA family. Well, in his own words, he feels a strong sense of inclusion with the MAGA family than he feels with his black community. But just like many MAGAs that we are seeing online these days, he effed around, now he's finding out. So stick around because we are breaking it all down, the drama, the betrayals, the infighting, and the lessons that we can learn from all this mess. So guys, let's get into a couple of videos that I've compiled for you to check out as MAGA Trump supporters are actually finding out after effing around. I'll be back with more commentary.
Trump 2024, MAGA family. You know why I'm MAGA? It's because the MAGA people have done more for me as a whole than black people, my own people, have ever done for me. Black people always want to tear down each other. Black people always want to shoot each other or hurt each other. MAGA family, we stick together. And they've had my back. Shout out Nancy, who passed away. Rest in peace to her. A lot of MAGA people have done a lot for me, and that's why I ride with them, and I'll keep riding with them until the wheels fall off. Because black people turned their backs on me, but MAGA people never did. Never. MAGA family, I was on TikTok live, and a fellow Trump supporter said that all he needed was my vote. I'll never be part of the MAGA family, and that I'm black, I'll never be accepted, but he just got my vote. Nah, that's crazy. Like, I love MAGA Nation, I love the MAGA family, and that breaks my heart that someone would speak to me like that right after the election.
So what you're experiencing is it's a two-phase system. If you engage in the first phase of it, the second phase of it is inevitable. From what you're saying, you are entering the second phase. We call that phase find out. You voluntarily participated in phase one. Fuck around. And now, phase two is coming along. It's time to find out.
Part of the MAGA family.
Trump supporters had a rally they called Unite the Right, where they flew Confederate flags. They flew Third Reich flags. They marched around talking about how they would not be replaced. And you thought you were on the same team. The Confederate flags weren't a giveaway. The Third Reich flags weren't a giveaway. Who do you think they're afraid is going to replace them? Because it's not just people who look like me. It's also people who look like you. The right-wing great replacement rhetoric led to the shooting in El Paso against people who look like me, and then later in Buffalo against people who look like you. But you thought you were on their team. You really thought you were invited to the Fourth Reich.
FAFO on TikTok is the greatest thing that happened to the internet in I know 10 years. When I say I done laughed, I have laughed till I've cried. Watching these MAGA people figure out how bad they messed up in real time, it really is a thing of beauty. And I got word today that they have issued a warning that we better stop. That this FAFO thing needs to calm down, and we need to stop making fun of them and laughing at them. They don't want to be laughed at. It's not funny. There are consequences. You talking about the consequences we told y'all about before y'all voted like this? Because we're not laughing at the consequences, because ultimately we are going to have to suffer the consequences of your actions. We are going to have to suffer for your uninformed and ignorant vote. So we're not laughing at the consequences. We are laughing because we told you and you didn't listen. And now you all over there acting befuddled, bewildered, and confused that things are happening as we said they would. We are laughing at the sheer amount of people that have Googled, how can I change my vote? The fact that y'all don't know you can't change your vote is not only funny, it's sad, and I really don't have words for it. And we're going to keep laughing. We're going to laugh for the next 4 years at y'all stupidity. We're going to laugh. Because we told you. We warned you. We explained. We did everything that we were supposed to do. And y'all still did what y'all wanted to do. So yes, we gonna laugh. Because what you don't get to do is be the villain and the victim. Pick a side and be on it. You don't get to be the villain and the victim. You don't. That is not how this works. You don't get to vote Cruella de Vil in the office and then walk around asking where all the puppies went. You know where they went. You voted Cruella in. That's where they went. So we gonna laugh. Oh, we gonna laugh. We gonna have a hearty chuckle at your expense. So deal with it. Great day.
Let's keep the fuck around and find out train going, as Trump has just said he is going to levy a 25% tariff on both Canada and Mexico. 47% of the minerals, oils, and cement that we import come from Canada, and about that same percent, about 46.5% of our wood, cork, and paper come from Canada as well. Hey, guess what we build houses out of? It's wood. So all those houses that you guys thought were going to be so much cheaper, no, they're going to be a lot more. Oh, in Mexico, almost 73% of our agricultural imports come from that country. That includes distilled spirits, fruits, and vegetables. So those grocery prices you thought were going to go down? Yeah. No, they're not. So not only can you not afford the tequila that's going to come in from Mexico, you won't be able to afford the limes to chase it with either. So, yep, enjoy your 25% tariff. You just fucked around and now you're going to find out.
So I just had my first encounter in the wild with someone who had been cut off by a family member as a result of them voting for Trump. And it was in a professional capacity, so I wasn't exactly in a position to be transparent with this person about how I felt about them facing the consequences of their own actions. Now, if you remember, I did say that my students don't get into political discussions in my classroom, but being a professor is not my only job. I also have a part-time gig at a local vet hospital. I'm not even a regular on the schedule. I'm really kind of a PRN princess. And I keep the job because it's kind of therapy for me. This is the work that I did to put myself through graduate school when I was getting a divorce, and I just find a lot of comfort in working in this field still. Anyway, a client came in today and thought they had an appointment, but they did not. Fortunately, I was able to get them on the schedule. But once I got them into the exam room, they just fell apart. Full on, ugly crying, hyperventilating, inconsolable. Obviously, I'm trying to calm them down. I get tissues, I get water, I'm trying to help them breathe. And they tell me that they just got into a fight with their child on the way to the animal hospital over the results of the election. And again, professional environment. I'm not offering up an opinion to this person. I'm just trying to get them to calm down enough to achieve what they came there to achieve. But they did keep saying that they didn't understand how somebody could cut off a family member because of politics. And they were just devastated over this nasty fight they had while their child was driving them to the hospital. And this person does depend a fair amount on their child because of medical realities of what their life looks like. And I hate that my mind went here, but I can't help but wonder if it's not what that person was doing for them and not the actual relationship that they are mourning. Because they didn't value their child enough to vote in their best interest. And no, I'm not just assuming that. And here we are, days after the election, and they're just now dealing with the fallout on a personal level, while their child was saying this was the last favor they're going to do for them. I'm not without empathy. This person has had a shitty few weeks. Bad news after bad news after bad news for more than one of their animals. And that's what tugs at my heartstrings. But as for their actual relationship, I mean, it feels like a real fuck around and find out moment. I do hope their pet's okay, though.
Girl, I'm just glad it's over. Now we can just get back to rebuilding the economy and getting everything back to the United States where it belongs.
Oh, you mean like the tariffs?
Yeah, I mean, if China wants to come and bring their stuff over here, they should have to pay for it.
You know that's not how tariffs work, right? We're the ones who pay the tax on the import. They don't pay to export.
I mean, yeah, but we can still make stuff here. It'll make people come back here to the United States.
Maybe, or you could always upcycle or thrift. That's a pretty good idea.
Girl, I ain't going to Goodwill. That's where I donate my stuff. I'm not going to go there and I'm going to go off Facebook Marketplace. I'm trying to get away from that because now we can afford to buy new things since Trump.
Yeah, I understand that in theory, but it is going to be a long ways away before we can bring manufacturing back in the States. And in the short term, it's going to make everything a lot more expensive for us because, the cost of the tariffs are going to get passed along to us. But I guess that means that you could support local makers, like maybe somebody that makes stuff out of reclaimed wood. That could be new, but still sustainable.
Or reclaimed wood. I have a couple of those signs in my house. They say live, laugh, Christ.
Tariffs are coming and prices are about to go through the roof, but don't take my word for it. Here are 3 quotes from CEOs last week about the future of tariffs. If we get tariffs, we will pass those tariffs costs back to the consumer. Philip Daniel, CEO of AutoZone. The company also expects to raise prices even before the tariffs take place because, According to Columbia CEO Tim Boyle, it's going to be very, very difficult to keep products affordable for Americans. Stanley Black & Decker CEO Donald Allen, the company has been considering several options, but manufacturing their goods in the United States isn't considered practical because of financial difficulties. Obviously, coming out of the gate, there will be price increases associated with tariffs that will be passed on to the market. So prices are going up. It's not me. It's what's happening.
I'm voting for Trump because he's going to build a border wall and make Mexico pay for it. I'm voting for Trump because he's going to implement tariffs and make China pay for them.
Guess who paid for the border wall? Not Mexico, the taxpayer did.
And guess who's going to be paying for these tariffs? We, the consumers.
Trump's border wall cost the taxpayer $15 billion, and he only managed to build 400-something miles. Much of it just replacing existing wall, and only 80 miles of it was new wall. And when handing out contracts, Trump skipped over the whole competitive bidding process, which would have lessened the cost for us taxpayers. Trump raising tariffs on China will just increase the cost for U.S. companies to buy these products or raw materials. And these companies will just pass the cost of that onto the consumer by raising prices of their goods. It's estimated that Trump's tariff plan will cost the average U.S. citizen $2,600 to $4,000 a year. And how do we know this is going to happen? Because he already raised tariffs the first time he was president, which increased costs for American businesses and consumers.
To be part of the MAGA family.
Folks, This is what fuck around and find out looks like. And you know, if it was purely about ignorance, that might be one thing. But those of us who know and are aware know that this is about proximity to whiteness. Oh, I want to be just like you. Let me be just like you. God, how in the world did you think it was gonna turn out, dumbass?
Never be part of the MAGA family.
Oh, ain't that sad? They didn't want you in the MAGA family. Well, what they should have told you. Those are the WYT's movement, okay? You're not a WYT. So I don't even know why you even got that hat on at all. If I would have seen it, I would have took it away from you, throw it right in the lake. And you go jump in and go get it you want to, that's on you. But it is what it is.
So how long do you suppose it'll take before all of the Trumpers realize that they got duped? You know, like how Trump said he has nothing to do with Project 25, knows nothing about it, and so the MAGAs would be like, he has nothing to do with that. And now suddenly Republicans have power in all three branches. They have the White House, they have Congress, they have the Supreme Court. So they have every means of making that happen right now. How long do you think it takes them to realize that most of what he said in his campaign was just a fucking lie to make them feel better about voting for him? Because his core base wants all that shit. They want all the awful shit that Trump's gonna do, but I would guess that 2/3 of the people don't know shit about politics and they're just voting for him because of the rhetoric and lies. Like, how long does it take for those people to regret what they did and realize that they weren't listening to us and they should have? I'm giving it till year 3. I think by the 3rd year of his presidency, you'll start to see that. Hopefully before the midterms, though.
So this is for MAGA pro-life mothers. Now that we know that women and teenage girls are losing their lives in emergency rooms because of these healthcare bans that were put into place by Trump and other Republicans, and even if you believe this garbage about it being the doctors and the hospitals who are misinterpreting the law, what do you think is going to happen when your daughter shows up in an emergency room and has sepsis? Because they're not going to ask you who you voted for. They're not going to listen to you while you're screaming for them to help your daughter about how, oh, that's not what we meant. We met some imaginary woman that we don't know, who's irresponsible, who wants to end her pregnancy. That's who we meant. We didn't mean my daughter, whose now organs are shutting down. So why don't you give that a think while you're at church this Sunday, praying for the unborn? So if you can imagine what that mother was going through in Texas when she was begging them to help her daughter who had blood running down her legs and a fever, think about where you would want to be in that position. Only you can save your daughter right now by voting for Harris and Democrats all the way down the ballot.
Today's FAFO story is titled, "Am I the asshole for calling off my engagement after my partner revealed he is MAGA?" My fiance and I have been together since 2013 when we met in college. He struggled to get a well-paying job and during his long bouts of unemployment must have been radicalized to blame everyone else. I chalked it up to depression and tried to get him help with therapy. I paid for him to return to school to become a nurse too, but he still has not completed the prereqs after 7 years. He currently works gig jobs while I am a nurse in California making close to $400,000 a year working a full-time and a part-time job. I was hoping to save up enough to not have to work after having a baby since I cannot rely on him. We were planning to get married next year and wanted to try for a baby. He knows I am very liberal and all about women's rights. He never openly expressed support for MAGA itself until after Trump won and said Trump will help the economy and finally allow him to get a good job. I told him that it was the easiest time to get a job in the past 20 years in 2021, yet he couldn't. I am not giving in to sunken costs and staying, and he didn't know, but he did make offhand comments before on women losing their worth the older they get, and I questioned him. and he said it was a joke. The past week has been miserable listening to him talk nonstop on how great Trump is and how he will turn everything great again. I had it and gave him notice to leave by the end of the month, and we are through. He said it's unfair and told me it's stupid to give up on us over just politics. The very fact he said that solidified the notion that he is so clueless and our values are too different. He will likely have to move back into his parents' home or be homeless since he makes less than $35,000 a year in the most expensive region in the USA. Am I the asshole for throwing away my relationship of 11 years over politics? I wish politics were boring again. No, you are not the asshole. And this is not a problem of politics. This is a problem of morality.
I'm not hearing enough people talk about the fact that when Trump's tariffs are enacted, companies will use tariffs as a cover to continue to price gouge us. We know for a fact that they use inflation as a cover while posting record profits. When people were complaining about Kamala not having a strong economic policy or not standing up for the working class, they were wrong because she consistently talked about going after corporations who were price gouging. Corporations are going to be corporations. They are going to continue to prioritize profits. And guess what? That means that when the cost of doing business increases, they're going to be passing those costs on to customers. But on top of that, they're also going to be using any tactic to continue to keep prices high.
Wow, guys, this is really funny. Is it me, or did these MAGA supporters actually never go to school? Because many of them are searching up, how can I revoke my vote? But I mean, how can you change your vote actually? After casting a vote in the ballot, then that's done, Many of them are searching for terms like, what is a tariff? Tariff explained. Things like that, because I really wonder, when these people were joining this MAGA movement, did they not do some research on these policies, especially policies that are coming back to backbite them, not only them, but also their families? The saddest part of this is that, some people who actually didn't F around are now finding out with, those who F'd around. That is actually the saddest part of this whole escalation, actually. And MAGA Trump supporters, especially the black MAGA Trump supporter, who was actually, insinuating that MAGA family is better than his black community, but now he's coming out online and ranting the fact that, one of the MAGA members came and told him the truth that he wasn't part of the family. They just needed his vote, and his vote had been casted. Now they are kicking him out, actually, and he's finding it real quick that he was never part of the family. Some people are coming here, as we have seen in the reactions of many people who are saying that MAGA movement belongs to the WITs. I don't know how true that is. Tell me in the comment section, is the MAGA movement only for WITs, or is it for all colors of people? If that is so, then I don't understand why this, black guy was actually surprised when they told him you are never part of the family. We just needed your vote. Now you have given us the vote. We have won the election. Now you can F off. Wow, this is amazing. The MAGA saga is blowing the internet. The FAFO movement, the FAFO movement is blowing the internet, and it's holiday season. Many of them are realizing that they voted against their own interest. And it's coming back to backbite them, actually. This is very absurd to see how these people can actually go for and join a movement that they do not understand its policies, and they support. I don't understand why, you support policies of the opposite party, but you vote for the other party just because. Just because. Let me know in the comment section, guys. What do you think happened with these people? Are they delusional? Are they in a cult or something? I don't understand what is going on. I don't understand why some people can just be invested in something that clearly does not entail to their interest. When the tariffs come, when the mass deportations come, You know, it's gonna backbite a lot of Latino MAGAs who voted for Trump. I don't understand how you vote for a policy that actually makes you a clear target. Well, you might have that naturalization, but what about your auntie? What about your mother? What about your grandma? What about your abuela? You know, what about your brother? What about your sister? What about your cousin who might not yet have those papers? That's gonna come back to backbite you. In some of the policies, actually, it said even that some of the naturalizations are gonna be revoked. They're gonna revoke naturalization and they're gonna be revoking citizenship by birth. I don't understand how they're gonna do that. Maybe they're going to do that if your mother came into the country illegally or something. So when Trump was president back in 2016, you know, he said, we're gonna make a wall between Mexico and the United States, and Mexico is gonna pay for it. That did not happen. It is American taxpayers who paid for the wall. Now, in this campaign, he was saying that we're gonna put tariffs on China and all other countries who are ripping us off, and they're gonna pay for it. Well, it is not gonna happen. It is American taxpayers who are going to pay for this. And this time, it's not gonna come out of your taxes. It's gonna come out of your pockets, because these companies are gonna have to pay the tariffs on imports, and they're gonna actually hike the prices because they cannot allow to incur such losses. So they're gonna pass down these tariffs costs by hiking up prices, and you're gonna feel it. You know, it's gonna be felt from the day-to-day American pockets. And we know some big corporations are gonna take advantage of this to hike prices of goods and products so that they can make enormous profits from this. What do you think about today's video, guys? What do you think about these MAGA supporters finding out after effing around? It's now the season of finding out. The season of effing around is now over. Thank you very much for watching this far, guys. If you are new to this channel, kindly consider subscribing, like the video, and drop me a comment of your opinion of this MAGA saga. Thank you, as always, guys. See you on the next episode.